bringing awareness, empowerment, compassion, and rebuilding after you assist a loved one to die with dignity is what we're talking about next. We're joined by Stephanie Duran. Great to see you. Obviously, we've been talking this week about Robert Walls. In this topic, it's such a special conversation for so many people.
It is, and it's very special to my heart. I assisted my husband in 2021 in the U.S. where it's legal there, and I assisted him to die with dignity. And we did it in a very compassionate, loving way. And it's something that he chose to do to end his suffering after a long battle with terminal cancer. And it's something that here in Australia is also legal. For all the states, by the end of this year, it'll be legal.
So talk to us about the global statistics when it comes to voluntary assisted dying.
So globally, in the U.S., 10 out of the 50 states is where it's legal.
10 out of 50 is where it's legal. Wow.
States, so 1/5 of the states. Luckily, we were in California.
Yeah.
What oftentimes can happen is someone will move to another state, and that's happened before in the U.S., simply to be able to die with dignity because they are suffering so badly.
Which is difficult because by the very nature, it's probably quite hard to travel and to move.
Absolutely. And you're suffering, and you're ill.
And your support network.
And your finances, everything. It's got so many layers to it, right? So that's just in the U.S. And throughout the world, there are only 10 out of 195 countries, 5% of the world, allow dying with dignity as an option when you're suffering with an illness.
I mentioned Robert Walls earlier, the AFL legend who I think a lot of people were surprised first to know that he was unwell, but also to find out that he chose his path too. Do you think that that helps with the conversation and the acceptance?
Absolutely, absolutely, because we need to talk about it more. It's a very hard subject because death is probably one of the most difficult subjects to talk about, and one of the
we try and avoid it, right? We try and pretend it's not going to happen.
Absolutely. And one of my goals is to bring awareness to it, and not to glorify it by any stretch, but to allow it to be more compassionate, and to allow people to have the not think of this dying with dignity, what Robert Walls did, but think of it as a choice he made. And that's something so important.
And talk to me about your journey, because you've gone through the tragedy of losing a husband to now feeling empowered to actually talk about it, to come on television and talk about it.
Right, yes. So it was a very painful thing. It was a very difficult time, but that was part of the journey. And so I was the acceptance and knowing what I did was out of compassion and out of love for him. And you can come out of this in a very positive way. It doesn't have to be this negative space. There should be no judgment, no taboo subjects around it. People shouldn't feel guilty and quiet that they can't talk about it. And that's something that I do in my coaching, in my grief coaching, is finding grief to gratitude and all those ways that we can heal even after this loss.
Yes, and grief coaching, your journey bringing you to that point, you've really flipped the coin there.
Right. Right, because I want to bring gratitude back to it. And yes, you can weave, and that's what I do a lot is with my coaching, is I do weaving happiness through the grief. You don't have to wait for the grief to end to still enjoy life and find joy and love again.
This idea that live forever, live forever, live forever, which I guess permeates through society, right? Talk to us about the cultural and the emotional changes that society needs to go through to, I guess, cope with the reality of what's to come.
Well, in theory, we'd all, we have to be realist.
Yeah.
It's nice to be, to think it would be lovely if we could live forever, but that's just not the reality, right? That's not our reality. And so I look at it as we're all going to die. We don't need to prepare for death, but at least have those conversations, open up the door so that a loved one doesn't feel that they can't talk about death, and they can't feel that they can't say, I've had enough pain, I've had enough suffering. And I did watch that with my brother when he was younger. And I watched that, that wasn't an option for him.
Yes. Stephanie, really important message. Appreciate your time here on Ticker today. Thank you.
Thank you.